This story happened a few weeks ago. I'm a female. My friend and I, let's call her M. We were standing in an almost 3-mile long concert line to see an artist we both love at the Fillmore. This took place in Detroit, Michigan at around 7:30 p.m. Her and I were listening to the Let's Read Horror Stories podcast through my AirPods. Suddenly, this creepy guy from the street came up to me. This was kind of off-putting to me because nobody had really did such a thing before. I was wearing a blue short-haired wig at the time. Before this creepy dude came over to us, he was trying to place a tiny American flag pin in another guy's hand to try and get him to take it. This guy comes up to me and says, "Ooh, nice hair. It looks really groovy. Also, blue is my favorite color." I tried to be polite and said something along the lines of, "Thank you. Blue is also my favorite color as well." Meanwhile, M is standing there next to me, shooting me the "this guy is putting off really bad vibes" look. The guy then walks a few feet away. M and I breathe a sigh of relief as we see this. Our anxiety rose higher once we see him come back our way. M started to have a slight panic attack once she saw him. He stopped in front of me and walked so close to the point that he backed me into a wall behind me and trapped me there against it. He made direct eye contact and said, "I want to touch it." He then raised a grubby hand towards the blue wig. I somehow came up with the courage and said, "I wouldn't touch my hair if I were you," in the most confident voice I could imagine, even though I was so scared the whole time. The creepy guy then puts his hands up as a "I surrender" type of action while smirking. He then walked off again and never came back. Fast forward to the end of the concert. The time was around 10:35 p.m. M and I walked out the doors of the building, merch in hand. There were several lights and people around us, of course, so we felt safe. I was in the middle of dialing my mom's number because she was picking us up when M shakes my arm and says, "Isn't that the guy from earlier?" My head shot up and there he was, in some sort of convertible in the road in front of us. We make eye contact and he gives the most sadistic smirk or smile I think I've ever seen. Thankfully, his red light turned green and he speeds away out of sight, and my mom picks us up a few moments later, and then we left. I live in a small town and go to college about 30 minutes from the main town that people go to in order to get groceries other than what the Dollar General has. My friends and I often take the impromptu trip to town late at night for cookouts or go to Walmart. This night it was me and my friend Lisa going to Walmart to look at Halloween stuff. While there we goofed off a bit trying on masks and talking about different costumes we could make. We were looking at the candy and I felt an eerie feeling. At first, I thought it was just my anxiety, so I got Lisa to just move into the book section a few aisles back. We were at different ends of the aisle and I got the same feeling. I looked up from the book I had and looked around when I saw a man on the end closest to Lisa, seemingly looking at something at the display, but he gave me bad vibes. I got closer to Lisa and got her to follow me back up to the front where the period products and makeups were. We got there and once again, I saw him standing next to the fake nails. I then picked up a random bath bomb and then dragged her to the back of the store where the milk was, and he followed us there. We made our way quickly through a few food aisles and then to self-checkout where we checked out and went outside. I had us both run to my car and lock us in because I could see him walking towards us. I started my car and drove as fast as I could so he wouldn't see my college sticker on my window. Thankfully, we made it all the way back to campus without being pulled over or having any cars behind us for more than a few seconds. So, for background information, me and my friend are both reasonably scrawny teenage girls. We were camping and it was very foggy outside and it was like mid-evening. So my friend and I were hanging out at the beach looking at all the sandcastles from the competition that took place earlier that day, and we had to use the bathroom and wash the sand off our feet, etc. So she was washing her feet off and I was going to the bathroom, and I heard the distinct sound of keys jangling. So after I got out of the bathroom, my friend was waiting for me outside. I asked if she had seen anyone leave the bathroom, but she had just gotten there apparently. We were just standing around when I heard the keys again. I looked up and I saw a man. He was in his mid to late 20s, early 30s at the latest. He had extremely greasy blonde hair, sunken eyes, a hoodie on with the hood up. Overall, a pretty sketchy looking dude. He circled the bathrooms me and my friend were standing by a few times after that, but he was always watching us when we were in view, which I took note of, but my friend still did not notice though. Anyways, a minute or two later, she asked me if I wanted to go sit at a picnic table with her, and I accepted because I wanted to get away from this guy. So we walked over to the table, but he followed us, and I know because of his keys. We sat at the table, and she was talking to her boyfriend on Snapchat, and I was reading over her shoulder as I normally do, but while I was reading with her, I told her that the guy was watching us, and about what I noticed before we went to this table. As I was telling her about it, I felt like I was being watched. So I looked over and made direct eye contact with the guy who had the keys. After we both gave an awkward smile, he broke eye contact and walked over to another man who I did not get a good look at, and they kept looking at my friend and I. So we got up, walked over to the little playground near where we were, and we just kinda talked, but this time she was paying attention to where the guys were. Not even a minute later, the guys walked by over to a small patch of woods that had a red car parked near it. Due to where I was sitting, I could not see the men anywhere, but my friend could, and she said that that blonde one kept peeking back at us from behind a tree, and the other one was out of sight. So we decided to take this to our advantage and ran over to a little restaurant thing, which gave us a clear view of them, and them a clear view of us. The blonde guy got into the car with who we believed to be the other guy. Now our fight or flight was kicking in, and we both chose flight. So we went behind the restaurant, which was closed, and had been for around an hour. We both ran down the stairs to behind a transport truck that had been there since early the day before we knew the driver wasn't there. My friend looked out from behind the truck and saw the car from earlier circling around the area, so as soon as it was out of sight, we ran as fast as we could, and thankfully there were other people around, so we could calm down knowing that the guys would probably not come for us with people around. We made it back to our campsite safely, and watched movies and stuff before we went to bed, and we didn't see the guys for the rest of the trip.